Dear Chayalim, please find your seats and get ready to join with your fellow soldiers around the world. The rally will begin in 5 minutes. Dear Chayalim, please find your seats and get ready to join with your fellow soldiers around the world. The rally will begin in 2 minutes. Dear Chayalim, please find your seats and get ready to join with your fellow soldiers around the world. The rally will begin in 1 minute.
Boom, boom, boom. Chav Ches Sivan marks the arrival of the Rebbe and Rebbetzin from Europe on American shores, a journey full of miracles spanning over a year and 5 countries. The Rebbe and Rebetzin's Chasana took place in the year Tafresh Peites in Warsaw, Poland, the center of Chabad, after the Frierdiker Rebbe moved there from Russia. Soon after they were married, the Rebbe and Rebbetzin moved to Berlin, Germany, where the Rebbe was able to study peacefully and where they quietly were able to help countless Yidden. And then, the Nazis in Ach Shemam came into power. It was no longer safe for Yidden to live in Germany. The Rebbe and Rebbetzin moved to Paris, where they continued to serve Hashem privately and work on behalf of the Frierdiker Rebbe. In Tafresh Tzadik Tes, the Nazis invaded Poland. Bombs were falling on Warsaw, and the Frierdiker Rebbe's life was in immediate danger. With tremendous effort and untold nisim, even involving high-ranking Nazi officers, the Frierdiker Rebbe was rescued and brought to America. However, the Rebbe and Rebbetzin were not able to leave with them. After the Nazis finished conquering Poland, they turned to France. Soon, Paris was not a safe place to remain anymore. The Nazis took over the city completely and planned to continue their awful plan against Yidden everywhere. The Rebbe and Rebbetzin managed to leave on the last train before the Nazis conquered Paris, with the help of a neighbor of theirs who was an officer in the French army. Their destination was Vichy, far from Paris, where they hoped to be safe while awaiting visas to leave the country. They arrived on Erev Shavuos. In America, the Frierdiker Rebbe was working hard to get visas for the Rebbe and Rebbetzin. This was very difficult, because America did not want to accept all of the thousands of Jewish refugees who were trying to escape the Nazis. They made strict quotas and complicated rules so that most applications could be denied, and time was running out. The Nazis put together a new government for France. Although it was officially a French government, it was actually run only according to the Nazi rules. The place they chose for this government was Vichy. It was becoming far too dangerous for a Jew to remain there. The Rebbe and Rebbetzin needed to leave again. This time, they traveled to Nice, in the south of France, close to Italy. The news from America was not good. The visas for the Rebbe and Rebbetzin were denied again and again, with all kinds of excuses. The Frierdiker Rebbe employed lawyers, but nothing seemed to help. In Teves, Tafshin Aleph, the Rebbe and Rebbetzin were given an important piece of information. The American consulate in Marseille, another city in France, was more sympathetic to Jews. The Rebbe traveled there to apply for visas, and this time their application was miraculously approved. But the clock was ticking. It took until the month of Nisan for the visas to arrive, and they would still need to find a way to travel to America. Ships across the ocean could be found leaving from Portugal, a country that was neutral, hoping to stay out of the World War. The Frierdiker Rebbe arranged for them to reach Lisbon, Portugal, where they went to await a ship. But there were not many ships going to America at this point. The journey would be dangerous, and it was in the middle of a war. The Rebbe and Rebbetzin managed to get tickets on one of the last ships. But at the last minute, they received a telegram from the Frierdiker Rebbe not to board. They immediately changed their plans, although it seemed that it might have been their last opportunity to escape. They later heard the news that the entire ship had been captured. The Rebbe and Rebbetzin were now again waiting for tickets. Miraculously, they were given tickets on another ship, the Sirpa Pinto. But even after the ship departed from Portugal on Yud Zayin Sivan, the danger was not yet over. German submarines were in the water, and they could only hope that their boat would be spared. At last, the Sirpa Pinto made it into the open ocean without being attacked. On Chav Ches Sivan, Tafshin Aleph, the Rebbe and Rebbetzin finally arrived safely in the United States of America. Their miraculous journey was finally over.
Good Yom Tiv, everybody, Chayolim, Chayolis, and all families. L'chaim, L'chaim, Baruch Atah, Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam, Boirei Pri HaGofen. L'chaim, this is truly a tremendous Yom Tiv, more than we will ever know. But tonight we're going to discover a little bit why. And maybe we'll just get a bit of a glimpse of why it took so long for us to figure out why tonight is really the day and the night that changed the world forever. But now that we're gathering, we will not forget the most important, that when Hasidim, Yidden, Jews gather together, especially children, to be doing the three fundamental pillars that the entire world stands on. So tonight, as we go through an incredible journey to find out what is so amazing about the secret of Chav Sivan, of course we're going to do our Torah Tefillah Tzedakah. Once again, there's going to be another raffle just for tonight's Farbreingen and Shir. Once again, you'll go to chabadyouth.org/raffle. We're going to soon announce the winners. It was up, but we'll announce again the special winners of our Sunday rally. But without further ado, we're going to start with Tehillim, with Tefillah, and please let's have in mind once again, as we beg Hashem that just as the Rebbe was saved then and left his Galus and started a new journey to bring the entire world to Geula, that tonight should really be enough is enough of these Farbrengens, enough of these requests that should be B'Poyel Mamish. So having in mind, first of all, Geula Shlema for every single Jew, but for individual Jews that need help, Begashmias, Beruchnias, whether it's children or a Refuah Shalema, a Shidduch, or anything else, and especially our brothers and sisters in Eretz Yisrael. So please join me as we say the Rebbe's Kapitel. Once again, don't forget, when you're watching, don't just look at me and don't just look at the screen. Say it along. Be a soldier. Don't be embarrassed, and encourage your whole family to get involved. Okay, and tonight, just like there was a bonus raffle on Sunday, and Mazel Tov to the Tates family and the Lipskers from Hatham for winning the Geula game. Tonight, you're going to have to text 0423-553-896. Once again, 0423-553-896. Understanding, and you can give any answer you want. What's the connection? Everything in your bag, including your bag, and Chav Sivan. So first of all, I'd like to wish a big Yesher Koach to Reb Mendel. We'll keep his name and his family name and his entire family for making tonight happen and sponsoring the Kanai Nahara. We gave out close to 250 bags. There might be a few left. And inside, we have very exciting. First of all, don't forget to make a bracha. So number one, of course, your apple juice. But before that, we're going to first make a hadama on your popcorn. And you got your Farbrengen food ready for a real geschmack Farbrengen. And by the way, don't forget to say l'chaim on your apple juice. You don't need wine or mashke to say l'chaim. When the Rebbe came to visit camp, he actually bought from Canteen soda for all the kids to say l'chaim by the Farbrengen. And, of course, a yummy watch. That's item number 3. And you have to tell me what's the connection between that and Chav Sivan. Also, we worked very, very hard, especially Shokayach to Missilimska. It went very early in the morning to make sure we got these on time. It was a whole operation in lockdown to get these beautiful globes. Now, if you notice, 2 cool things. Number 1, when you leave it, it starts turning almost transparent and see-through. When you shake it up, it gets that blue watery look. Also, when you start flicking around, it looks like actual flowing water. And that is in our special Farbrengen in a bag. So texting in 0423-553-896. What's the connection to your items in your bag and tonight's Farbrengen? Also, if there was we literally emptied out the store from all those globes. So if you did not get a globe, I think there's a few people that are not going to globe. Please text me. I will be ordering more Bez Hashem online. Okay, and moving forward, of course, we did Tefillah. We're going to do Torah. We're going to do it in a very, very special way. We are tight on time tonight, so we're going to do it in a special niggin, with a special niggin. That's actually the way I grew up, and I know many of your tatis from New York grew up. That's how we used to say the 12 psukim in a very special song. So it's I think comes out quite a bit shorter also. So please join me as we say the 12 psukim. Don't forget to say the words. Singing along.
We want Mashiach
L'chaim, l'chaim. So what makes tonight so special? In fact, in the beginning, it not necessarily was celebrated as such a special year, but when it came to 50 years, exactly 30 years ago, there was a bunch of chassidim that said, it's 50 years, we want to do something special. We're going to prepare a special booklet. And they started doing a lot of research because it was 50 years earlier. People didn't exactly remember how it was when the Rebbe came and how he came. So they did a lot of research. And of course, it wasn't just going to be a nice story. It was going to be mostly Torah. And the Rebbe explaining himself what's so special about Chav Sivan. And I just heard from a few chassidim that it's interesting that not only Chav Sivan, the Rebbe actually came to America twice. The first time was when the Rebbe himself was saved. And then when he went to greet his mother about 6 years later in Tafshin Zayin, the Rebbe actually went back to France to get his mother, Rebbe Tzimchana, who had just finished escaping Russia. And apparently they searched up on the calendars, and the Rebbe came actually to America with his mother on Chav Sivan. Now, of course, the Rebbe was running away from Nazi Germany. First of all, the Rebbe's entire life was really running away. Starting from a small boy, they had to be undercover. The Rebbe's father, of course, was their chief rabbi, and constantly being harassed and in trouble until they actually arrested the Rebbe's father. Then the Rebbe became connected to the Frierdiker Rebbe, and the Rebbe watched how the Frierdiker Rebbe was starting to be chased and hounded and almost murdered, Rachmana litzlan. And the Rebbe finally escaped with the Frierdiker Rebbe to Russia. But then the Rebbe started an amazing journey. The Rebbe ended up in Germany and watched himself, a normal, so to speak, nation, all of a sudden turn into animals. The Rebbe watched this up close. From there, the Rebbe went to France. And in France, as much as the Rebbe tried different things, the Rebbe was not getting his visas. The Frierdiker Rebbe, Baruch Hashem, was saved, but no matter what they were trying, it wasn't working. And finally, the miracle happened. The Rebbe got his visa, and as we saw in the video, the Rebbe was about to board that ship. We don't begin to imagine the millions of miracles that happened. And of course, today, for us, this is like Yutas Kislev. This is our Pad V'Shalom. If not for this day, we wouldn't have anything. They would have never made it to America. Chas V'Shalom. We have to... Of course, you could think, well, what do you mean? How could the world exist if, you know what, Hashem, the Rebbe wouldn't have come to America, the Rebbe wouldn't have been saved? But what Yid has to think about, all the miracles, just like Mitzrayim, we would still be stuck in Mitzrayim. We have to recognize every single detail that Hashem has given us. And for us to be where we are today, that we have such tremendous maesters and beautiful things in Melbourne and around the world that each Jew enjoys. All because of this day. So, before we get to the main part, so what is so unique about this day? First of all, just a tremendous miracle, but it's way more than that. But first, please join me in the Niggin, Pad V'Shalom Nafshe, we put together for tonight. A very, very special video. Clips that you've seen, but please sing along, because in true, and like I told you on Sunday, I was thinking to ask what appropriate Niggin is for Chav Sivan. And I said, maybe Pad V'Shalom, the Rebbe says literally like Ar Yutas Kislev. And when I looked at the video of the Rebbe giving the Chav Sivan book, Kuntreisim out, as we mentioned before, that the people that put together this booklet, they didn't know the Rebbe was going to give it out. They literally just put together a booklet to give out for the Rebbe's, the day that the Rebbe and Rebbetzin were saved. But all of a sudden, as the Rebbe went to the oil, they got a phone call, same day. And maybe print, instead of 3,000 that you were printing, maybe print like 10,000. And in a matter of hours, Baruch Hashem, they were able to print over 10,000. And that night, the Rebbe personally gave out, like I said, to men, women, and children. And I was Baruch Hashem Zeicha to get one. And the Rebbe showed us that this is really our Yutas Kislev. And I think perhaps, and we're going to see through tonight, why maybe only later was it discovered what a great day tonight was. But please join me as we sing Pad V'Shalom and think about all those captured, all those in Galos. But then Va'ani Eftach Bach, as we say, Hashleich al Hashem Yehavecha. If you have any problems, stop worrying. Throw all your problems to Hashem. Hashleich Hashem Yehavecha v'hu yichak alech. Hashem's going to help you. Because anyone that tries to start up with a Yid, they won't even get half of their days. Va'ani Eftach Bach. Please join me.
Odo v'sholom
Chaim l'chaim. Okay, now let's dive into it. Don't forget to do your special rally missions and get into our big raffle by going to ChabadU.org/raffle. Also, we're starting to get some text in of finding connection between your bag and all the items inside and Chav Ches Sivan. But let's dive in and truly understand, perhaps at least a little bit, why this day is so special. Now, the truth is, why are we making such a big deal? Of course, it is another beautiful Yom Tiv. And I'm sure, as we already saw in the beautiful videos put together, the tremendous nissim that happened. And that it is very, very special because something that happens to a Rebbe affects the entire world. You see, a Rebbe is known as the Rosh B'nai Yisrael. That's actually what the word Rebbe stands for. Reish Beis Yud, Rosh B'nai Yisrael. Now, Rosh means the head. Just like all of your life depends on your head, if you have a healthy head, you have a healthy body. When the head is functioning, the head sends messages to every part of your body. Even the toe really only feels what it feels because the head, you have a nervous system. And even the smallest part of your body all gets messages. So as the body receives its chayas, its life through the head, we all receive our chayas through the Rebbe, and that's actually something that Hashem told us already from the beginning of time, since the Torah was given, that it's through Moshe Rabbeinu that every Yid connects himself to Hashem. And in every generation, through the Rebbes, we connect and we're healthy. So when there's a miracle for our Rebbe, it's not just a private miracle that we're so happy because he's our Rebbe, we're happy for him. Really, this is a miracle that affects Klal Yisrael. But is that all that what this day is all about? To really, really understand, it's not just about the 10 countries that the Rebbe went through and the many years, the couple of years that it took for the Rebbe to get from Russia all the way to America. This journey really entails hundreds of countries and really thousands of years. You see, let's go back just 5,781 years ago. And a half a year, I guess, a little bit more. Hashem created a world. And this world, he wanted to be comfortable like it's his own house. Yeah, I know on online school, right? Even when you're at home, I know my kids are doing stuff when they're home and different than in their class. In a home, you're more comfortable. That's where you feel like you can dress the way you like and be the way you like and act the way you like. It's my home. And similar to that, Hashem wants the world to be a place that he can call his home. That means Hashem is comfortable. It's not a place where everyone asks, hey, what's Hashem doing here? What's all these mitzvahs about? It's finally that the whole world will understand that Hashem is the king and all want to do what Hashem wants. And we'll all realize that Hashem is boss. Just like as if you're walking and we realize that we're in Hashem's home. And not that Hashem comes to this world and say, oh my gosh, what's this world's all about? So it took 2,448 years. And finally, it all began in a desert, in Midbar Sinai. Finally, as the others prepared the world slowly, for the first time, after 2,448 years, the Torah was given in Midbar Sinai on a small little mountain. It's this special mountain I'm sure all you are familiar with, of course, Har Sinai. Now, the Torah, of course, was there before. We know the Avos did the Torah, the Yidden kept the Torah, but it didn't affect the world. It didn't change the world. And the mission was that the world should change. When you did a mitzvah, nothing happened to the mitzvah. For example, if the Av is put on tefillin, they could have thrown it out in the garbage afterwards, because nothing actually happened to the piece of skin. As it says that when Yaakov was doing all the things with his sticks, that was similar to tefillin when he was doing with the sheep. What he was really doing was not trying to make these special type of sheep be born. He was actually doing very spiritual things, doing like tefillin. But it didn't affect the world. Nothing about the world changed. When Hashem gave us the Torah, all of a sudden we could do mitzvahs with this world, and the world could start becoming holy. But it would take another 40 years until finally the Yidden entered Eretz Yisrael. All the things that they were learning in the Midbar, they could finally do. And now this is the first time that an actual land becomes holy. Another name, of course, for Eretz Yisrael is Eretz HaKodesh. The land itself becomes so holy. We start doing mitzvahs with the actual earth. Shemitah, Yovel, Meiser, with the actual animals, Karbanis. All of a sudden, for the first time, we're actually being able to take things and switch them into actual holiness, an actual home for Hashem. But that was just in the little country of Eretz Yisrael. Unfortunately, after a while, we were sent out of Eretz Yisrael. We didn't know how to behave that well in Hashem's home, and we were sent to Bavel. But in Bavel, something amazing happened. Instead of the Yidden giving up, they never forgot about their mission. In Bavel, it actually became a stronghold of Torah. That's where the entire Gemara was made. The two famous yeshivas of Surah and Pumpadisa, and this is where the whole Gemara and Bezdin and all the halachas were established. So they take the Torah and all of a sudden make Bavel. Until today, Bavel actually uses a holy name. We actually call the Gemara Talmud Bavli. Eventually, the Yidden left Bavel, and they started crossing the oceans. The oceans, who would have thought that they're the part of Dira B'Tachtonim? But it's those very oceans. How many Jews traveled those oceans and said so many kapitlach of Tehillim, so many tefillos. But interestingly, it also became the pathways, because there, very amazingly, a lot of tzaddikim were kidnapped, and they were now sent onto far-off lands. They were captured by pirates that sold them to Jewish communities throughout different areas. But they made these places true Torah places. In fact, till today, guess what? We use these countries as an actual part of Yiddishkeit. Sfardim. Yes, that whole area of Spain and surrounding areas, that whole beautiful area of Sfardim, where now the country actually, Spain means, right? Sfarad actually means Spain. And that's where very many tzaddikim started strong pillars of Yiddishkeit. Through hundreds of years, of course, the Sfardish Yidden, they were flourishing, Begashmias and Baruchnias, and they knew how to live a full Torah life. Successful parnasa, serving Hashem with joy, and beginning to start opening up the secrets of the Torah, where now we could see an inner secret dimension of this world. But unfortunately came the Inquisition and started throwing Yidden out and chasing them out of Spain and Portugal. But the effects were forever. Till today we have that strong Sfardish idea, which a lot of minhagim around the world still come from that. And a lot of them ran to North Africa. That would be, right, where Morocco, Tunis, Egypt, where we know the Rambam, the Ramban. And this, in that area, Kabbalah started unfolding. Another amazing thing was that the Inquisition accomplished is that now Kabbalah, which was only really in the Sfardish areas, was now able to move forward. And now a new part of the world would be affected. Now it moved after to the tzaddikim of North Africa, making strongholds in Torah there. And of course the most notable one, the Rambam, who were about to finish the entire Mishnah Torah, who set out in an organized fashion the entire Torah. Of course, then came the Yidden, moved on to the areas of Ashkenaz, and that would be the other parts of Europe. Very, very famous, of course, The first thing, just open a Chumash where you have Rashi. There started where the Ashkenazim really risked giving their life over to the Torah. All the Baalei Tosfos and the Yidden that had really, really good, strong parts of the Torah, keeping it very strong. And unfortunately, despite the tragedies of the Crusades and the Chmanu Litzlan, all the pogroms, they continued to build the Ashkenazi area and always put Torah at the forefront. But still, parts were missing. Then finally, after a lot of hardships there, Yidden moved to Eastern Europe. Many Yidden moved to lands like Russia and Poland and Ukraine. And of course, that's where the next mission opened up. That's where Hasidus started. An unfolding of the Geula, because Mashiach tells the Baal Shem Tov that I'm going to come when your well springs are going to be spread throughout the entire world. And that's where Hasidus started. And with each Rebbe bringing Yiddishkeit and Elikos and godliness more and more real, and especially when they started Chabad. Chabad means Chachma, Bina, Das, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Really, really understanding it and making Yiddishkeit a part of our life. But something was still missing. What do all of these places have in common? Look at our map over here. Something very, very strong is missing. Of course, the issue is there is Torah all only in one area, on the top half of the world. And why we call it the top half of the world really is because Eretz Yisrael, that's where Hashem began creation. If you know, there was a stone inside the Beis HaMikdash, inside the Kodesh HaKadoshim. And that was the cornerstone of the whole world. In fact, it's explained that Hashem started with that cornerstone, built the whole world. So Eretz Yisrael is really the top. And the Torah effect was only on the top part of the world. Eretz Yisrael, the surrounding areas, even spilling over to Europe, but only one part of the world was really filled with this Dir B'Tachtonim. Something, of course, was very, very missing. But that, of course, all changed when the Rebbe came across the seas. And finally, for the first time in history, the Torah comes to the Chatzi Kader Atachten, the lower part of the world, where from America spreads out, of course, all the way to Australia, parts of the world that never seen a Jew, never seen any mitzvahs, never has seen Torah. And all of a sudden, of course, this all changes. That's why this day is amazing. This is not just a day where our Rebbe was saved, but changed the course of history. It opened up the other part of the world. On this day, 80 years ago, the Rebbe arrives in America. And throughout the Rebbe's Nesias, he awakened Yidden with their Yiddishkeit through the light of Hasidus. And of course, this would become a center for where all the Shluchim go out to the entire world. And from there, it's lifted up, and it lifts up the entire world. As we will see very specially in this video.
Tremendous things were accomplished in so many countries. Through the Torah and mitzvahs of countless Yidden throughout the generations, it became a place for Hashem to call home. But that wasn't enough. The entire bottom half of the globe, Chazi Kader HaTachton, had not yet been transformed. On Chav Ches Sivan, the turning point arrived for Chazi Kader HaTachton. The Rebbe's arrival in America on the lower half of the globe began a new stage. Yiddishkeit was no longer a foreign thing to this half. It became possible to make America a home for Hashem. When the Rebbe arrived in America, he started the operations of three main Chabad organizations: Kahas, which published books and Hasidus Farim; Machane Yisrael, which helped Yidden make a difference, just one more person; and Merkas Le'Nyonei Chinuch, which was concerned with making Chinuch available for every Yid, young and old. On Yud Shvat, Tav Shin Yud, the Rebbe became Rebbe and intensified the efforts to transform the world. The Rebbe began many new initiatives to reach every Jew, including launching Tzivos Hashem, to encourage children to use their strength to do the right thing and change the world. This did not only benefit Chatzi Kader HaTachton. The light that transformed it was a new light, and it spread to all parts of the globe. This new stage lit up every part of the world. Imagine a pile of blocks. If you pick up the top block, that's all that will be raised. But if you lift the bottom block, then the entire pile, including the top ones, will all be lifted higher. The same way, elevating Chatzi Kader HaTachton, the bottom half, actually raised up the entire world. And if we had another meeting now, we'd hear exciting updates from all over the world.
Hey guys, it's New York here. Can you imagine that when the Rebbe first arrived here, people were saying that Yiddishkeit had no future in America? Now just look at us. Here, right in the bottom half of the world, we've changed the entire globe. From right here, shluchim have gone to nearly every country.
Yes, the Hafatzas HaMayanais has grown and reached every part of Chutza.
Mate, Australia's with ya. We've definitely had a real transformation here down under. Schools and shuls, communities and kashrus. We even have a mobile Chabad house that reaches hundreds of Jews in the farthest corners of our country.
Here too, no Jew left behind, we say.
Magnifique! You would never believe what has changed here in France. This country, which was long known for being the opposite of Torah, has produced thousands of Balei Tshuva and sincere Hasidim.
Wow, although the Rebbe left France to come to America, the work the Rebbe started there most definitely flourished.
Here in California, where people come just to have a good time, we've made real waves. We had the first giant public menorah, and we use the celebrities that everyone looks up to help Chabad and spread Chassidus.
Shalom lekulam. We're the top of the earth, Chatzi Kador HaElyon, but we've had a complete turnover from this new tkufa. Mivtzoyim in every city and army base, Chassidus publications reaching every type of Yid. The Rebbe's Pu'ula is felt here very strongly.
Duh. The communists tried to stamp out Yiddishkeit here in Russia, but the Rebbe's koiches revived it, and stronger than ever. Proud Yidden dance in the streets of Moscow, menorahs are lit publicly in Siberia and in front of the Kremlin. And new generations of Hasidim are educated and pass on their Torah knowledge to the rest of the community.
I think we can all agree that by now, the Mayanais of Chassidus have reached every part of the world. I'd say that it definitely appears that the Rebbe has made this a real dira b'tachtonim. The Rebbe made us all his shlochim to finish this last stage.
L'chaim, l'chaim, as we conclude, my dear children and everyone, and now we can understand why this day is so special and so big and amazing. This is the day that literally the world has changed. And we're a part of it. It's not someone else's story. It's not the Rebbe's story. It's mine and your story. We're part of this change. We're all empowered to make sure that no part of this world is left unturned, no stone unturned. So if you know a friend, if you know a neighbor, add another mitzvah. That could be the last one, because all Hashem is waiting is for the dir b'tachtonim to happen. That everyone will recognize that Hashem is the king. And that's my and your story. And that's why this day is the day that the world changed forever. We're all now empowered, as the Rebbe told us the same year that the Rebbe gave this out, only 2 months earlier exactly. Chav Ches Nisan, and the Rebbe said, Tut alts was irken. You have the responsibility, and it's my job, and it's your job to do one extra thing, because we could make it happen. And I want to end off with this. By the way, please, if you have a moment, to also take pictures and send in pictures of your different rallies. Now, inside the special kuntus, the Rebbe says something amazing. So on one hand, we say, "Oi, we're only a few days from Gimel Tammuz. It's been so long, and it's all nice, your old Yomim Tovim. But what are we left with?" The Rebbe said, "Do what you can, and what's with us? And where's the Rebbe?" So something amazing the Rebbe gave to each and every Jew that came by the Rebbe that night. In the early years, right after the Frierdiker Rebbe passed away, the Rebbe said an incredible story of different tzaddikim that before they passed away, they said that there's no way we're going into Gan Eden until Hashem brings Mashiach. We're going to protest, and I know Hashem's going to want us in, and we're not going to go in until Mashiach comes. And then the Rebbe said, but somehow, once they got to Shamayim, they were tricked. They got bribes. One story is that the Malachim opened up Gan Eden, and the Tzaddik heard just the way the Malachim say Kaddish, Kaddish, and they couldn't hold themselves back. It was so holy. They jumped in to Gan Eden, and that was too late. They couldn't protest. And each Rebbe okay, we're also going to take a moment to say L'chaim for a big, big miracle for Elisheva Bas Miriam, Shava Refuah Shleima, in a miraculous way. This is the night of miracles. So let's all say L'chaim to Elisheva Bas Miriam, and if anyone, wherever you are, mention other names, we say L'chaim for everyone that needs Refuah Shleima, as mentioned before, and everything else. So the Rebbe said that all these tzaddikim were all tricked into not being able to protest. And the Rebbe said in Tafshin Yud that surely the Frierdiker Rebbe, his whole life is Mesiras Nefesh, there's no way he is going to go in. Incredibly, in Tafshin Memtes, right in this booklet, it was printed 2 years later, 2 years earlier, Parshas Koirach, this very same Parsha, the Parsha right before Gimel Tammuz, the Parsha always around Chav Ches Sivan. And the Rebbe said in the middle, at the end of the Sikha, the Rebbe repeated, and the Rebbe then said, obviously something happened. The Rebbe said with a smile. And the Rebbe said, I guess the only way to outsmart, I'm using it's not exactly the words the Rebbe said, but basically the only way to outsmart this is by making what we call a Shavua al Das Rabbim. And that means a promise, but my promise is dependent on everyone. You see, even if I make a promise, Bezdin Shalmayel, there are ways that you can break a promise. You go to a Bezdin, and there's certain ways you can undo a promise. But there's one promise, even if a tzaddik promises something, there's a way we can say, oh, that was only dependent. There's certain ways to get out of a promise. There's one promise that you cannot undo. There's no hataras and afaras nadarim for that. And that's called a promise al das rabbim. I'm doing it not on my mind, but on everyone else's mind. And so they say you could ask, some chassidim say that the Rebbe got quiet then, and we could only assume what the Rebbe promised. So my dear chassidim, every single Jew should know that although Rachmana litzlan, it's so many years, but the Rebbe is standing right here and waiting. He didn't forget about us, and the mission is still there. And sometimes we say, oh, I'm not in the mood. We may not be in the mood, but the Rebbe is waiting. The Rebbe made a promise, and don't think, oh, the Rebbe is somewhere in Gan Eden enjoying and just begging Hashem for Mashiach, sitting with the tzaddikim. I'm not so sure. Every day, like the Rebbe was before Gimel Tammuz, begging and crying and waiting, and all you boys and girls are doing a tremendous job of learning about Mashiach. But we need to do one extra mitzvah. So l'chaim, let's join the Rebbe's journey. We're all on that boat. We're all coming to all sides of the world. So let's end off with a big ufaratzta, as the niggin that Eibishter gave the bracha to Yaakov Avinu, and it was realized with the Rebbe's Nesiyas ufaratzta yama v'keimlet tzafayna v'negba. And we're special because we're in Melbourne, and as you remember on the video, it said, if you pick up something from the top, only the top gets lifted up. But if you lift up from the bottom, then the whole world gets lifted up. And we are Australia, not only down, but we're down under. Lamata she'ein tacht lamata himenu. And when we lift up the entire world. So let's sing a joyous thing, and let's get Geuladik, let's stop mucking around. Do one extra mitzvah. Say another nice word to another Jew. Say a nice to another friend. And let's chaparai in the last moments of Golus. And from here we should dance right and have our own journey. And soon next year's Chav Chestiv is going to be the video of how we all were stuck in Melbourne, and the video of how we all of a sudden came right to Eretz Yisrael. May that happen speedily. Let's join Ufaratzta. Right, so l'chaim, number 1, again, don't forget, fill out your mission, ChabadYouth.org/raffle. Fill out that you did it to be in this exciting raffle. Number 2, like we mentioned, make sure you do Ois B'Sefer Torah. We're going to make an $80 raffle for you get a ticket for every child that you got in a Ois B'Sefer Torah. Also, if you have any pictures, please send them in. L'chaim, like we said, from this Geula, going into Chodesh Geula of Tammuz, it should be the Geula Mitzvah Shlema. And next Farbreingen, Yerushalayim, and HaKodesh, L'chaim.